welcome to the stream. I hope everything's working fine. Let me just double check that. My phone. It looks like we're fine. Alright, so a bit of a smaller grid today, unfortunately. Not quite as many people as we would have wanted, but I saw Ocean Chief joining as well, so we should have 16. Let me actually check Discord. Should be fine, alright. So, I think we have a couple people going on a lap already. I think Cody is even on a hard tire, so he's going to be doing some high fuel running, as he likes to do. We have Icewind on the inters, of course testing if everything is working, etc. Strat we've seen in PSGL. Yoda out on mediums. But I think the first car to be on a lap is Samim, who's about to finish it. And he sets a banker for 134.4. So he is currently pole. Second car, I think that's Davey. It is. He's going to be coming over the line with a 134.6. So 2 tenths, almost 3 tenths actually, behind Samim. But of course, these are just bankers. The drivers are still figuring stuff out. Mostly checking if their equipment is working. That kind of stuff. So, these times are not really representative as of yet, as I think that's Samim who has spun up ahead, and he has. It's unfortunate for his tires. But now we have Yoda on the medium in sector 1, as Meepo goes for the quickest with 134.0. So, Meepo on a flyer compared to the rest for his banker lap. As Yoda is now coming up to the hairpin, one of the most annoying corners on the track in my opinion. As Nobolt sets a 133.4, so he is flying even more with Run Cruiser with 133.6 in P2. Now I wonder how the mediums are gonna compare to the softs on this track. Of course, this track, it's really easy to overheat your tires. Especially in sector 1. As he goes purple middle sector now. I don't think that's quite correct, as we know F1 loves to show purple middle sectors, even if you are 2 laps off in terms of pace. But maybe it is a faster sector 2, you never know. As he goes off track, gets invalidation. So we won't see a valid time, but invalid, he does a 136 0. So he is about 2.5 seconds off on the mediums. Which, to be fair, is not really bad. Maybe he's also doing full fuel, we don't really know. So let's go on board with someone who is... Is there anyone on a lap still? I don't think so. I think everyone is currently on a out lap. Unless... that was McKender? No, that wasn't McKender. No, Copy is in pits. Who is that? Am I blind? Icewind? Oh, that's Icewind. Still on the intermediates. I think just doing a casual in-lap. So, some people still not setting a lap. Copy, Basco, Yoda, of course, invalidated. Gamer, Danny, and McKender. I wonder if McKender is invalidated. Or if he just simply is doing a race run. We have a few people on outlaps. Our gamer is one of them. The Aston Martin currently in P13. Now I hope the stream is running fine. It looks like it is running fine on my phone. Let's see, I got pinged in Discord. Not for F1. So good. Alright. Anyone on a fast lap yet? Not yet. I think... Why didn't it show our gamer? Here it is. Sometimes it tends to bug out when I press the button for a driver outside the top 10. So I press on driver 13, but it takes me to driver 3. Again, just F1 game things. Got our gamer about to start his lap. The Aston Martin driver, of course, him and Samim last race, very, very close together. So let's see how close together they will be this race. As I think last race, if my memory serves me correctly, they either got P5 and 6 or 6 and 7. Two drivers. I don't want to alt-tab too much because it tends to lag the screen. So I won't be able to tell you as of now. But our gamer, definitely with a good sector 1. It looked very clean. I think it was quite purple. Goes off track, but somehow the game doesn't validate it, so he can use a lot more of that exit than he possibly should. But if the game allows it, then that's how it is. Or maybe he was just not going too quick. Maybe he lost a little bit of time with that off track in the game. Didn't quite see it as a gain. Now that inside you can cut really a lot, which some of the drivers will use. I don't think everyone knows about it, but definitely the more experienced drivers will know that you can cut a lot on the inside after the big straight. As in sector 3 now, the long right-hander, the corner where Max Verstappen got a penalty a couple of years ago. This corner, blind, really easy to invalidate, as our gamer does. It's a really difficult corner, especially with the sun shining right in your face at the exit. And he did a 34-0, would put him 4 tenths in front of his teammate, and would have put him in front of Meepo in P4. So very unfortunate for our gamer. But it's not the end of the world, we still have a lot of time left in this qualifying session. Now let's go to Icewind, who is in sector 1, of course the Williams driver. Flying in the Williams, 1.1 seconds up, not a surprise as his banker lap was on the intermediate tire. So the sector 1 wasn't purple, but it was definitely quick. The number 85 Williams now going down the very, very long back straight. And I don't think the game really shows how much of an elevation change this track has. But this back straight has a really big elevation change in the middle of the track with the bump. And here he is cutting the inside, not as much as I think you can. I think you can cut just a tiny bit more. But probably just trying to keep it safe, trying to set a valid banker lap, which will at least get him inside the top 10. Because we all know that Icewind definitely has the pace for it. So here he is, now into the last two corners. The most difficult corner on the track, keeps it within track limits, keeps it nice and safe. And he goes into the wall, but he does survive it. Now Meepo going P1 with a 1:33.3, so he's pulled by a tenth. So he has been very lucky that he hasn't gotten any damage. And he spins again. Still keeps out of the wall. Now Cody Lawrence retiring, or sorry, he leaving the session. Nobled now with P1 with 32.7. This man is on an absolute mission. Flying with 32.7. Very impressive lap from him in the Mercedes. Now I think... Okay, Cody Lawrence is back in the session, so I don't have to invite him back. Then you go on an invalid. At the moment we're kind of used to seeing it, as he invalidated every lap of the race before this as well. Interesting though. I wonder if he might try starting last again, like he did last week, and see what he can do from the back. Let's see who else is on a hot lap. I think that's Davey in the Red Bull, who's coming up to the last two corners. Keeps it nice and clean in the last two corners. And I think he's just starting his lap actually. Alright, so we will go for a onboard lap with Davey, who is currently in P9 as he goes down turn 1, hooks up the apex really nicely. Now second gear accelerates into the S section. This section is really insane in the modern F1 cars. It's all flat through here as he does invalidate. Just got a little bit too much on the inside. Just a tiny bit. Which means his lap is invalidated. Very unfortunate to see, but fortunately that's how it is. And McKenna now behind him. Currently P15, so he is currently last. That means that he has to set a decent lap to get him out of that final position, as there's only 4.5 minutes left in the session. So I don't think he will make it for another lap after this if he decides to go in and then try to go out again, as that would just not be enough time. But this is McKender's final attempt, if I'm correct, of setting a fast lap, as he does go purple in middle sector according to the game with a 1:02.9 sector split time. Now very wide into here, of course, with F1 cars with a huge amount of downforce. That's the line you're willing to take. But the GT3s, when they race on this track, they have to take it really, really tight. You can really see the difference between all the series and how much these cars can rely on the downforce to just take these swooping lines. And McKender jumping up to P4 with a 33.4. So definitely not a bad lap. Puts him in P4 in front of his teammate Icewind, who's currently in P7. Let's see, who's that coming up to the finish line? That's Danny going in, crashing in the pit lane. Most Danico moment I've seen in my life. I think trying to disqualify himself. Nope. He just had a weird moment. Anyway, let's go on to Fox in the Haas, who I don't think we expected yet at all this season. So let's go for an onboard lap with him, as he is currently in P8, so he can still improve quite a bit. Braking into turn 1, does he hook up the apex nicely? No, he doesn't. He outbrakes himself and misses the apex completely. Yet still trying to commit to this lap. Nope, he doesn't. He has abandoned it. So we have another one who has to abandon their lap in sector 1. Is just not getting it quite correctly. Now I hope Nobuild will still go out, because I want to go on board with him, as his pace was spectacularly good for the lap he set currently. There's a lot of people going out, and I think Icewind... Oh, he's on an invalid lap, so that's it for Icewind. He won't make another lap. So it is P7 for him now. Very unfortunate to see. Unless he can start another lap now, which he is doing. Alright, so McKender will be going another lap, so we will look at his lap. As he's going down the main straight now. Does he hit the apex, or do I curse another person like I did Fox? He does hook the apex up really nicely. Now go into sector 1. Now this part is really interesting in terms of track limits, so... Will he get one here? Looks like he's keeping it nice and clean. Now the camera work, not too great, but we have to do with it. So let's just switch to the onboard cam. Barely keeping it within the track limits there, that was really close. But he is still continuing with a valid lap time, most important. So currently in P7. Where will he be able to jump up to? Will he be able to beat his teammate, who is currently 6/10 quicker than him? Let's see in the sector split time. Just past the next corner. Now you can really see how blinding it is for the drivers. You can barely see anything because of the sun. And the really strong fog cutting on the inside again. The car just floating over the curb. And he is down on his time actually, so... Not what he was looking for. Now has a big moment as well. And I think he has abandoned his lap. Very unfortunate for Icewind. It's not what he would have wanted. And I don't think Nobuild is going out for another lap. Really unfortunate. But his teammate, Blind Vinkje, is going out for another lap. So the other Mercedes driver is currently on lap and he loses the rear end, goes into the wall, and that's lap over for him. Let's see, Meepo is just starting his lap. Meepo in sector 1, he is currently P2, he needs 6/10 and he invalidates. He had needed 6/10 to jump up to P1, unfortunately not able to do it due to invalidation. Who else is on the lap? I think Basco in the Ferrari is on the lap. In sector 3 he is currently just shy of 2/10 down on his time. And Icewind got disqualified for parking in a dangerous location. So that means Icewind will be starting from the back of the grid. There it is. And Basco jumping up to P8, improving by half a second. Setting a 34.0, and then let's have a look at Davy, the other Dutch driver, in a Red Bull in the second last corner, keeps it nice and clean, going into the final corner, and he will improve by 7/10, going up to P8, just out qualifying his fellow Dutchie by half a tenth. And I think that's everyone on our fast lap. Didn't think he just finished. He was not on a fast lap. We've also finished not on a fast lap. So I think that is it. So Nobuild in the Mercedes is our pole sitter, with Meepo being in P2 and Run Cruiser in P3. So we have a 2-3 for Alfa Romeo at the moment. And our gamer also getting disqualified for parking in a dangerous location. So we will have 3 drivers starting from the back. 2 of them being disqualified, and then Danny, who hasn't set a valid race lap. I think we're just waiting for Samim's car to be put back into the garage, and we will be able to go to the race start. Alright, just check Discord again, seeing if I got any other messages. And it looks like I didn't, so we're good to go. Alright, so Nobuild on pole, like I said, in the Mercedes. I think he got P2 in the last race. Just lost out on P1. Actually, did he get P1? See? Unfortunately, I am not that smart, and I don't remember. So let's just look through the race director real quick. And then I'll check the standings from last week, because I already forgot them. Let's have a look. So, no, Blinde thinking of P1 with Nobuild being P2. I did remember that correctly. With Meepo P3 in the championship at the moment. And Mercedes is leading the constructors with 43 points, with Alfa Romeo being behind with 21 points. So Mercedes currently has a 22-point lead. As the drivers are setting everything up really quickly, and I got a interesting bit of information from someone on the grid that it is possible that it will rain in 15 minutes. So we might see some wet racing really soon into the race. That's why I will expect a lot of people to start on the medium tire compound, to then possibly move up to possibly the Inter, if it's gonna be wet enough. If it's not going to be wet enough, then we might look at having people going on the hard. As we are starting the formation lap right now, and let's have a look if I was correct with... I have no sound. There is no sound, alright. F1 game moment. Let's see, audio settings. Set this to high. Maybe then to work. Yep, now it works. Alright, great. That's interesting. Anyway, let's have a look at the tires. So we actually have a good split between medium and hard. Top 3 all starting on mediums, with Meepo and P4 starting on the hard tire. Then another 3 people on medium, and then another 3 people on hard. And then we have 2 people on medium, and hard, medium, hard. So actually a decent split between the drivers on in terms of strategy. And somehow Danny got moved up to P9. Huh? That's interesting. How did Danny get moved up to P9? Unless something is messed up in my timing board. I think something might be messed up in my timing board. So I don't think Danny is P9. Anyway, we will see at the start if he drops back down to P13. Oh wait, we're going already, that's why! I thought it was a formation lap! Oh my god. I am not smart whatsoever, am I? So, starting lap 2, no build with a lead of a second already. So, gapping Run Cruiser as Meepo has dropped down to P5. I have completely forgot that we aren't using a formation lap. As Copy already has no front wing. I think he spun in the last corner, or he got spun in the last corner. So that's not what you want to see for him. But Run Cruiser just barely getting back into the DRS of Nobolt, who's currently in P1. But I think he made his way up to P4. So you can see already the mediums are kind of starting to kick in, with them getting up to temperature quicker and being just a bit quicker at the start of the race. Now let's go and have a look at Danny, who is our reigning champion, of course. He is behind a slightly lagging Cody Lawrence. I hope that's not going to be an issue. But I think it should be fine. Now I do really feel bad for Copy, as he's already 16 seconds behind, so I do expect a retirement from him in the pit lane, as Cody is really lagging all over the place. Right, that's suboptimal. Someone has had off. I think that's our gamer who had spun. Is it our gamer? No, it's not. That's Basco. So Basco has had it off in the fast, really long right-hander. I don't think that's the fastest lap, but Basco, I'm not sure if there was contact, or if it was just him overdriving the car on cold tires. Of course, this corner not as easy flat as it used to be in the previous years, with the cars not having that much downforce. But it still should be flat, if I recall correctly. What I am gonna do is I am quickly gonna message Cody on Steam, just to let him know that he is lagging. Actually message Danny, because he can probably see it more if Cody is lagging and if it will be a problem. So we will let that know, or we will see soon if Cody Lawrence will retire from this race or not. I hope he will be able to finish, because it looks decently stable as of now. As he did just overtake Samim after a big straight. I don't think... no, DRS should be on already, so it's probably a DRS assisted overtake, as Danico is now looking for overtake on Samim. We also missed the overtake of Mekander on Run Cruiser. But that means that Nobolt is out of the 1 second, and he is gonna be able to pull a bit of a gap, as Mekander actually sets the fastest lap. 36.8 in the race. Now Danny going for the move on Samim. Flies past him, of course, due to the DRS assistance, probably using a little bit of his battery as well. Now let's have a look at Mekander, as he will be pushing through Sector 1 to get back into that 1 second window of Makander in the Mercedes. Now, it doesn't look like he is gaining really much. He's gained 10th there. He lost it again on the exit. So it looks like Makander is really flying. Let's actually pull the telemetry up a book from the drivers to see the battery percentage, as Makander is on 20%, so he is really using that battery to get as close as he possibly can. Let's go on board with Noble to see his third sector really quickly. Very good trail braking into here. Now this section is really difficult because you really have to manage your throttle, especially in the wet. You have to manage the throttle because just a tiny bit too much and the rear end does go round. So you just have to be careful enough to where you don't lose too much time. Now the gaps are starting to form a bit. There isn't really a huge train, it's just a lot of cars being outside of each other's DRS. Something that might not be good for the drivers, but will be interesting to see who can keep up with each other on raw pace alone. Of course Meepo will lose a little bit of time now, that he will gain back a bit later into the race where the hard tires will really come into shine. Which I think should be relatively soon. If I remember, the pit window for the mediums opens lap 12. Which is in 7 laps already. We're already on lap 5. It's actually Copy is still continuing, so he did not retire. Nice to see from him. Still driving. Is anything really happening on track? I don't think so. Makander's still not in the DRS of Noble. So Noble's really doing his best to keep him out of it. Let's see, because I think Danny is about to overtake Daisy in the Red Bull. Danny not using any battery, but I think neither is Davey. Will we see a cheeky move down the inside? Yes, we will. Danny sends one in. They're still side by side. Just barely. Davey keeps the nose in. Danny's still not passed. Of course, he is on the harder tire compound. But he has the inside for the next corner now. And that's move done. Alright, so Danny is up to P7 already. Behind Cody Lawrence, both the cars on the hard tire compound. We have a sector 3 yellow flag. That's Davey. I think the dirty air must have caused him to lose the rear end there. Losing him quite a bit of positions and a lot of time. Now, those mediums will take a beating from that spin. Thankfully, for him, this game does not have flat spot simulation, so he won't have square tires after this. But there will definitely be somewhere that he doesn't want to have on the tire. Now, looking for a move down the inside, not quite making it. Let me take the telemetry off because it looks ugly. But he is right up behind folks. Now you can really see the dirty air playing here. Even with these new regulations, the dirty air is still quite big. As both the Aston Martins get a 3-second penalty, what it looked like in the same corner. So suboptimal for them, but profitable for the cars behind. Now I think Noble's still outside of the second. So really not what he wants, as Noble looks like is quite comfortably sitting outside the DRS window with a good reserve of battery. Now Ron Cruiser and Blinde Vinkje close together, but Ron Cruiser does not have the DRS on Makander, but Makander now should have, and I quote, should have the DRS on Noble, and we will see that here. He does have the DRS. I think I heard a beep. Yep, there it is. Wing is open. So he will gain a bit of time on the straight. Not that much. It looks like it's just shy of a 10th, maybe about a 10th. But from that distance, it really doesn't give him that much of an advantage. Yoda now getting a free second time penalty as well. He is currently in P13. It looks like it won't really affect him as he is kind of in no man's land at the moment. Still going down the main straight. Now, is Mekender still in the DRS? That's what I want to know, because it's really on the edge. Is the wing open? Yes, it is. Alright, so Mekender looks like he will be able to stay in the DRS. But now, what will Blindefinky do as he is flying to overtake Run Cruiser into Sector 3? Really nice move by him. Of course, another DRS assisted overtake, setting a purple middle sector as well. Which I am not surprised of, seeing how quick he was down that back straight. That must have given him a lot of time. Now, will we see Ron Cruiser attempt another overtake, or I should say an overtake back on Blindefinky on the main straight? As he is quite close, he's 4 tenths behind his opponent in the Mercedes. But I don't think it will be quite enough. Of course, DRS is open. Blindefinky using all of the track to try and keep him out of slipstream. But Ron Cruiser didn't quite have the exit and wasn't quite close enough to go for a move to overtake Blindefinky. Now, maybe Blindefinky also has a little bit more tire wear. Because, of course, the dirty air, and he had to sit behind Alfa Romeo all the time. And this will all come into play just a bit later. As Meepo currently in P5. Looks like isn't really gaining yet on the cars on the mediums in front. That might be due to the fact that he hasn't had DRS for quite a while. But it could also be simply the fact that the hards aren't quite in their prime operating window yet. I think we might see an overtake by Icewind on Samim in front. Actually, he isn't quite close enough. So that will probably have to wait just a couple more laps. And Mekender gained just a tiny bit on his rival No Build, who is currently P2 in the championship. Now, did I just see some rain, or am I going crazy? I think I might be going crazy. It doesn't look like there's any drops falling at the moment, as the 3 hard runners that are currently leading the race for their strategy have formed themselves a tiny bit of a train. Meepo, Cody and Danny in a 3 long train. And Blindefinky gets a 3-second time penalty. Not what he wants to get when he's currently in P3. Now, I think he did also have a penalty last race. Don't quote me on that, but I think he did have one. But then again, we are still quite early into the race. So still a lot of things that can happen. A lot of people can still get penalties. There can be safety cars, virtual safety cars. You never know. And I think that's Cody Lawrence going for an overtake down the inside of Meepo. Going side by side into Sector 3. Let's go on board with Danny. You can have a really good look at this as Meepo keeps the position for now. Cody Lawrence going down the inside. They're still side by side. A little bit of touching there. But Meepo stays ahead. Danico is really close. This will really affect him in terms of the dirty air. The last corner. Let's see. They will all have DRS. Well, everyone besides Meepo, because Meepo is of course leading the pack. This might be a position swap between Danny and Cody into turn 1, and it looks like it is. As Cody brakes a little bit early, doesn't want to risk the move of them touching. So Danny is now going to try and attack Meepo, from what I would have to guess. as they're currently fighting for P4. And did I see correctly that Run Cruiser is really close up the gearbox of Blindevinky again? Someone has spun. Did I see it correctly? There was a yellow flag out for just a bit. Didn't quite see who it was for. Maybe someone had a slide off? Not quite sure. Actually, Makander already stopped for another set of mediums. Makander had an early stop. Earlier than I expected. As we see Danny getting the overtake done on Meepo into Sector 3 again. He was successful, unlike the AlphaTauri behind him being Cody Lawrence. Meepo could not quite keep Danny behind him. Now this of course will be a little bit of a vulnerability for Danny, as he won't have DRS down the main straight. So he will either have to get a really good exit, or... Oh, and Meepo actually spins! So Meepo overcooking it on the exit of the second to last corner. And going backwards into the wall. Now, not what he wanted going in. I think this will be a tire change, possibly to the medium tire. Now, I don't think he'll make it 18 laps on the mediums. That would be quite a stretch, but he is going on a medium tire. I suppose he doesn't have really anything else to go for than the mediums. But he comes up P13. Really not where he wants to be. So really unfortunate for him. But I don't think he really had any other strategies to go for. As those hards would have taken quite a bit of time to get back into the operating window. Of course, once they are hot, they're really hot. And also once they are cold, they are really cold. They always take a bit of time to get back into the perfect window, because of how the compound is. But that means that Cody Lawrence gets promoted up into P5. And so did a lot of the other drivers. So Meepo is now the person with the freshest tires on the grid, with Makander being the second person with the freshest tires on 1 lap old mediums. And it looks like he is catching up to our gamer quite rapidly, as Noble actually goes into the pits from the medium tire together with Run Cruiser. So Noble is going to go for the high tire, so he's definitely going until the end, and he actually comes out in front of Run Cruiser still. So that's how much of a gap he has had compared to the other cars. Makander now with the fastest lap of the race. He sets a 36.4. As Snowbolt spins out of the pit lane. So that means that Makander is currently our net leader, as Snowbolt pretty much bins the race victory. Now also has a bit of contact with Fox, not what he wants. That could be a possible report after the race to the FIA. So like I said, the hard tires, if they are cold, they are really cold. Which means they have 0 grip. Now Samim getting another 3-second penalty. That means he has 6 seconds worth of penalties. That's really suboptimal for him, as there is not many people that have penalties. It's only 4 of them at the moment. As Noble gets a way better accident than Samim. I think Samim must have either went deep, or he must have had some sort of an issue for Noble to be able to zoom past him like it's no tomorrow. Now Samim looking for a move down the inside, doesn't quite go for it, wasn't close enough. Don't really think there's much else going on the track that's really close together. I think it's only Basco and Yoda who are going onto the back straight now. Let's see. Basco, DRS open, DRS enabled. It looks like he will just be able to fly down the inside of Yoda and get the move done right before the corner. And Yoda going down the inside? Not quite. Just having a tiny look. Makander another fastest lap. He is really flying on the fresh mediums. But then again the question, will he make it to the end? Now, if the proximity... sorry, not proximity. If the possibility of rain is correct from what I've heard, It should start to rain quite soon. It could also be that the clouds have gone in a different direction than the circuit, which means the drivers will get lucky. Again, it's a F1 game, so you never know with the rain possibility. It could show in qualifying that it's 100% and it's gonna rain, and then you load into the race and it's completely dry. So we just have to wait and see if it is really going to rain. Now, interestingly enough, Linnevinkje still continuing. Hasn't decided to stop yet. 12 lap on mediums. I think he's just trying to stretch as much of a gap as he possibly can because of that 3-second time penalty. Now, Icewind, the other Williams, currently in P8, right behind No-Build. Icewind, of course, on the older tires, so I do not expect him to be able to keep up that well with No-Build, as the tire difference right now should be quite big. Fox is now also getting a 3-second time penalty. He is currently in P10, so just fighting for the points. But as it stands right now, in terms of the car behind him, that penalty will just about not affect him, as the gap is 3.1 seconds. Actually jumping between 3.0 and 3.2. So that's going to be interesting. Although it is Meepo behind him, he has the fresher tires, he will have better pace. I wonder how it's gonna end up with Meepo and Mekender, who have decided to go early for the mediums. It is a very interesting strategy, because I do not think the mediums can last 18 laps. But then again, I am not the driver, as Fox has had a off in the hairpin. Interesting place to have a spin. Either that was due to contact, or he just simply floored it just a bit too hard, which is really easy to do in these cars. These cars are way easier to spin than last year cars. Now, if I would have to guess why, it's probably because they don't have as much aero in the lower speed because of the ground effect not working in low speed. Could also be due to the tires. Of course, the tires completely different, way skinnier tire walls and way bigger rims. Personally, I have to say I did prefer the old tires, but that might just be because I prefer grippier cars. And Fox now deciding to go back into the pit lane for his, I think this would be his second stop of the race. Actually it might not be, because it has 14 laps. I don't think he boxed on lap 1. So he's going for another set of mediums, so he might be going for a medium soft strategy. This is indeed his first lap, or his first stop. As Icewind, currently in P8, gets his first 3-second time penalty. So he must have just gone over the line on the straight, I think. Maybe it was on the exit of the second to last corner. Didn't quite see where it was, but this could mean that his hard tires are really starting to show a good amount of wear, as he doesn't make the corners as he would want to. Probably because the tires just can't keep up with the demands of the car. And there he is, outbraking himself just a tiny bit, having to go off track. Didn't gain time there. I don't think he would have gotten a warning for that. Let's see, who else? I think that's our gamer going into the pit lane. Yes, it is. He is going for his first stop. I will assume this will be for the medium. 12 laps left, so that should be perfectly fine for the mediums, especially because the car, of course, does get lighter with them using fuel all throughout the race. Of course, we're doing a 50% race, so the cars should be loaded with 50, I would say 56 maybe liters of fuel. Something about that. Or I think in F1 it's more kilograms, so 56 kilograms of fuel. Because I think it's... I think 1 kilogram of fuel is not 1 liter. I think it's more than 1 liter. But, once again, I am not a professional. I have no clue what I'm talking about. So, I probably shouldn't. As Makander and Cody are having a fight. Makander on the fresher tire set. So this should be a quick and easy one for him. And it looks like it is. Cody Lawrence can't really keep up. As he has a big snap once again. So here you can really see 15 lap old hards. Not quite feeling it anymore. They are really struggling for grip now, especially in the high grip demanding sections, like sector 3 of Kota. I will expect him to go in quite soon together with Danico, who is just up the road, making a move on Blind Finkia, who has still not boxed, by the way. 16 laps on the medium. He might be trying to get a medium soft strategy working. Now, I personally don't think that will gain him a bit of quite a lot of time, as the softs don't last for long. Of course, for the short time they do less, as Danny goes side by side in the S's, not quite making it, had to back out. It would have been a really impressive move if he would have made it stick. Now, will Blindefinkie try to do a long way and go for the DRS? No, he doesn't. That means Danny is nicely waiting to get the DRS to overtake Blindefinkie. As the boost button is on, DRS is open. And now he should be able to just fly past the Mercedes. So it actually doesn't look like it. Has Danny been holding back? Sends it down the inside, puts his nose in. Blindefinkie has to leave some space to avoid the incident. Now Danny around the outside. Keeps it and has the move done. Of course, Blindefinkie did have a little bit of a snap on the exit due to tire wear, as those mediums are really screaming in pain right now. And Makander has caught up to both of them. So Makander on the 7 lap old mediums, possibly trying to not do a stop anymore, is continuing as Danico decides to box. But oh, a bit of a snap, hopefully didn't damage his wing. And Blindefinkie also goes in. So, interestingly enough, Cody Lawrence, who we've seen struggling on those mediums, keeps actually going. Now that might just be to avoid traffic in the pit lane. As we know, F122 does have a bit of a glitch in the pit lane, where sometimes a car can come out on your screen right in front of you and then TP 20 meters further up the road. So maybe he's just trying to avoid getting held up in the pit lane and just trying to continue one more lap, as he had a bit of a snap on the exit there. We didn't quite see it because the camera did change in the middle. And yep, like I said, Blindefinkie out on the softs. Now this is going to be interesting. 10 laps on the soft tire. I think that's going to be a very, very big stretch. Meepo is right up behind him. Now Meepo does have the more warmed up tires, but then again they are worn more, I should say, not worn. He will have the DRS. But Blindefinkie just has such a good exit. You can really see those softs are shining now. But I think in 5 laps they won't be shining as much as they are currently. As the wear is really going to be really, really much. Now, will we see Cody Lawrence go back into the pit lane? Or go back into the pit lane, go into the pit lane. And it looks like he is still continuing. So he is definitely trying to keep those tires alive as long as he possibly can. Let's see, is there any battles on the track? Not really. I think that is Fox and Icewind being close together. Of course, Icewind just came out of the pits on fresh mediums, so this battle really shouldn't last that long, as I think Fox might lose the DRS already before the next detection zone, and he does. So he is out of the 1 second window. Actually, he might have been just in it. just barely in it. We'll see right here. Ron Cruiser getting 3-second time penalty, and Fox has just been in the DRS. So barely keeps it in, but I think through the sector 1, Icewind will just gain so much time that Fox's tires won't be able to keep up. Even though they're only 4 lap old, he also does have very low ERS, which isn't going to help him in this case. As he actually gets a penalty for cutting the track a little bit too much. And we have Yoda going in for his pit stop. That's him going to the hard tire. Now currently getting overtaken by Copy, who is on quite old hards. Of course, him boxing very early on. Due to the damage he got on, I believe, start of lap 3. If I recall correctly. And now we have Icewind getting a move done down the inside of Basco, going into sector 3 after the second DRS straight. Probably one of the easier moves. Of course, has the DRS, has a lot of ERS. Now then he goes and sets a fast lap of a 1:36.0. So you can see the lower fuel really does make the cars go quite a bit quicker. As I think the previous fast lap was a 1:36.6 by either of the two Williamses, if I remember correctly. So on this about the same tire life, a couple laps later, the difference is 6/10. Or yes, Meepo gets a penalty, and I think that was Blindevinkje who also got a penalty. Let's have a look at the penalties actually. So Run Cruiser with 3 seconds, Blindevinkje with 6 seconds. I did see you correctly. Blindevinkje, really not looking good in terms of the penalty game so far. Then we have Meepo with 3 seconds, and so is our gamer with 3 seconds. Samin with 6, as well as Fox with 6. And then we have Icewind and Yoda with 3 seconds, and I think that was Basco spinning the car around, going up the hill in sector 2. Now this is his second spin of the race, so it looks like he isn't having quite a good race so far. Now this is very Ferrari of him in terms of the luck Ferrari has had in 2S. Of course, like I said last week, the Ferraris last season in the 2S F1 series didn't score a single point. Now, if we look at last week, this season's Ferrari drivers have managed to beat it. Unfortunately, there is only one Ferrari driver here today, and he is outside the points by quite a margin, as the gap to P10 is about 15 seconds. Did I say it correctly? No, it's about, let's say, 13 seconds. So that is quite a gap, but of course there is penalties playing here. Samin with 6 seconds and Icewind and Fox with 3 seconds. Or was it Fox that also had 6 seconds? I think Fox also had 6 seconds. So that can come into play here, as Basco is 8 seconds behind Fox, but maybe he has the pace to gain that time back on him. Now Cody Lawrence, 20 lap old hards, still continuing. Icewind gets a 3-second time penalty. Is this a second penalty, or is it his first one? I think it's a second penalty already. See, I keep forgetting. And it is a second penalty, so he has 6 seconds worth of penalties. The sub-optimal, I think that the McLaren going slow. And it is Yoda who is just getting lapped by Vikander. Very unfortunate for the McLaren driver. He must have had a bit of an off, it makes me think, in the second to last corner. Because there was a yellow flag, and I don't think he was going slow enough for it to be yellow because of a slowly moving vehicle. So it must have been something to do with him having an off. Now let's have a look. Who is close together? See, no one is really close together on track. Run Cruiser just about to go back into the DRS of Cody. But Cody does have to still make a pit stop. Because of the Park for May rules, you have to change at least one tire compound during the race distance. Because Cody hasn't made a stop yet, he has not changed the tire compound yet. So most likely he will pit any time now and go onto the soft tire. Just like Blindevinky did, who is currently in P6. Now he did build a 5.3 second gap on Nepo, as Fox gets his third time penalty, making it 9 seconds, currently the highest on the grid. But I wonder how Blindevinky's tires are gonna be. It's gonna be really close on him making it to the end, because of the puncture possibility that I think is starting at what was it? 74%? Or was it 84? This really shows how much I played the F1 game this year, because I don't even remember what the puncture territory starts at. I think it's either 74 or 84%. Probably 74, if I'd have to guess. As there's some weird artifacting happening. Don't know why. Is that rain? That might be rain. That might be rain, or is anti-aliasing doing some funny stuff? I think it is rain, because Fox has gone onto the intermediate tire. Really early decision for him, but it could pay off. He has a lot of penalties, remember. He is quite far behind the cars in front, but this early stop could mean that he jumps a few cars. Now, if the conditions turn to intermediate with 2 laps to go, or 3 laps to go, I do expect some people to keep driving on the slick as Cody Lawrence goes into the pits. I wonder what he'll go on. Will he decide to go on intermediates, or will he go on a slick tire? Now that does look like inters to me, and it is. So he believes that it is going to get wet enough for the intermediate tire to be more effective than the soft. Now how can we see when that happens? The DRS will get disabled, excuse me, once the game believes that it's wet enough to where intermediates are quicker than slicks and it's too dangerous for DRS to be on. Now it looks like the track is starting to become a little bit more greasy every minute. Sector 3 yellow flag, that's Fox. So with him going off, for me that's an indicator that inters aren't quite the correct call yet. It might not even go to inter, maybe the range keeps being really, really little, just like it is now. But we can't know. We can't know until we see more drivers stopping for a intermediate set of tires. As it looks right now, Nobuild, currently P3, chasing down Room Cruiser, he decides to go in. He believes that it is going to go too wet, as he doesn't really have any other reason to stop, as his tires would have comfortably lasted to the end. He believes that it is going to go to intermediate conditions. Really quick stop from him, as Blindevinky, his teammate, double stacking, also going into the pits for intermediate tires. Really, really interesting. Now, I think that was Samim, has had off in Sector 3. So that shows the track is really, really greasy at the moment. We have more people going in. I think that is Davey also going into the pit lane together with Samim. And they will also go for the Inter. This will be really, really interesting to see how it will be at the front. Danico now going up to the back of Ron Cruiser. Of course, he does have the fresher tires, so this will benefit him quite a bit. Going down the inside. Let's see, can he brake at his normal brake point? It looks like he can, so I don't think it's quite wet enough for Inter, as Icewind gets his third penalty now. Not really used to it from Icewind, but he has 9 seconds of penalties, and there it is. DRS is enabled, so that means the intermediate tire is now quicker. Now, no build, no penalties, but he is quite far behind from the lead. Makander is making a stop, and so is Copy, so they are going on for the intermediate. So this was perfect for Makander, who decided to go for that really early stop for the medium, because now he got to stop for intermediate, as he did get released right behind Copy, who is a backmarker, but Copy does decide to let him go. Or sorry, I shouldn't say backmarker. He is a lapped car. I think backmarker is not quite nice to say to a person that has been blue flagged, especially because Copy is a really fast driver. Sector 1 yellow flag, I believe that is Yoda, who is on the hard tire. He is really struggling. Our gamer now gets a 3-second time penalty. He is currently in P2, still on the slick tire. But I don't think that will last him quite a bit. Noble jumped up to P4. This could be really big for him. Although, the cars in front do not have penalties, besides our gamer, but they will be able to get our gamer before the end, as there he is off the track, doing his best Valtteri Bottas cosplay from Austria 2021, cutting the flowers on the side of the track. Basically everyone on the intermediate tire, besides Yoda and our gamer, who are both on the slicks. Now I think they will both make a stop this lap, as I do not see a possibility of them continuing on the slick, because they were just... Well, for Yoda he won't lose any positions because he is currently 15th out of 15. But our gamer will lose more positions from staying out on the slick than going in, and he does decide to stay out. Interesting choice, but personally I do not think that is the correct one. I think he will lose way too much time, as Cody Lawrence is coming up right behind him. And is that Meepo? It is. Meepo again having a off in the same corner he has done before, second to last corner. It looks like it's not really his favorite. Noble now getting a 3-second time penalty. This means Danico doesn't have to worry about him anymore, as even if he gets overtaken by Nobilt, Nobilt will drop down 3 seconds. So that means Danny can fully focus on catching Makander, but I don't think he will be able to. Makander is currently doing a really good pace, and he has a 7-second gap, so he can get 2 3-second time penalties, and he would still be ahead. Of course, there is only next lap to go, as we are going to the end of lap 27. So the final lap will be starting in just a second, as the drivers are approaching the 3 last corners. As there's a yellow flag, I think that's our gamer. Yep, it is. The slick tire is really not paying off. I really think he should have made a pit stop for that Inter, as he is losing a lot of positions now. Of course, the next car behind him is Meepo, who is 19 seconds behind, basically 90 seconds. But he will gain so much time. I'm pretty sure he will even be able to overtake him before the line, as he already gained a lot of time. Now, I don't really think there will be any changes of position anymore, unless someone makes a mistake. So let's watch the closest pairing of drivers on the track, which is Nobuild, who is chasing down Danico. Now I want to quickly check the penalties, because Ron Cruiser and Nobuild both have 3 seconds, alright. So that means it won't affect end result between them two. And it won't change the result for Cody Lawrence, who doesn't have a penalty and is currently in P5. Now I think there will be a little bit of shuffling of positions in the midfield, as there's a lot of penalties there. But we'll have to see once the drivers cross the line. So I'm getting another 3-second penalty. But let's go and have a look at Mcender as he is approaching the 3 last corners of the track. Now I don't know if this is 1 or 2 corners. This could be counted as 1, but I wouldn't be surprised if F1 counts it as 2 corners. Anyway, second last corner, Mcender keeping it nice and steady. Going over the line into the last corner. And he wins the American Grand Prix by quite a gap, with Danico coming home P2, 6.8 seconds behind, Nobuild in P3, Ron Cruiser in P4. With Cody Lawrence in the Alpha Tauri finishing 5th, Blinde Vinky coming home 6th. Our gamer still getting points, even though he was on the medium tire compound in intermediate conditions. But I think Meepo will get him in terms of penalties. Didn't quite get to overtake him off track. But he does get him in terms of penalties. Now Iceman, next one to come across the line, 9th. With Yoda behind him a lap down. Also didn't stop for tires. Copy coming in. Also lap down, P14. Now it's Samim who is off the track. Must have had a little bit of oversteer on entry, I would have to guess. Off track again. Finishes the race P11, just outside of the points. Fox coming home P12. Getting jumped by Basco, who jumps up to P11, I think I said it correctly. And that is the end of the race. With Danico getting the award of the driver of the day, I would have to agree. Danny, of course, starting very far behind, but still manages to get stuff done. Now here we have Mcender celebrating the race win. Getting P1 with Danico in P2 and Nobuild in P3. And here we have the finishing standings with a lot of penalties this race. Unfortunately. But that's just the nature of the track. Now let's go quickly through the incidents, as there will be a lot of them. And all of them being track limits. I don't think I saw a warning for contact. And I also don't think there will be a lot of FIA reports, as I don't think there have been many incidents between drivers this race. But I want to thank everyone for driving today, for watching. I am gonna end the stream because my throat is really starting to kill me. So once again, thank you everyone for watching, thank you everyone for driving. I will see you guys next week with next week's race being the parking lot in France, known as Circuit Le Paul Ricard in Le Castellet. I hope to see everyone back next week. Once again, congratulations to our winner Mcender, and see you guys next week. Have a great rest of your evening and have a great week.